I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling, counting the water stains and trying not to cry. The next day, Ms. Barbara came back. This time she brought a man named Dr. Peter. He said he was a child psychologist. He had kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses and spoke in a gentle voice that made me feel a little less scared. They took me to a room with comfortable chairs and asked if I would talk to them again. I nodded, feeling numb. Dr. Peter asked me to start from the beginning, not just about Daisy, but about Trevor too. So I did. I told them about how Trevor had treated me my whole life, about the toys he broke, about the times he hit me when no one was looking, about how he made me feel like I needed his approval more than anything. I told them about the first time he broke my favorite doll, ripping its head off and laughing when I cried. I told them about how he would pinch me under the dinner table if I talked too much, leaving little bruises that no one ever noticed. As I talked, Dr. Peter kept nodding and writing things down. Sometimes he'd ask me to explain something more clearly or give more details. I noticed Ms. Barbara was recording our conversation on her phone, the little red light blinking steadily as I poured out my story. When I finished, Dr. Peter asked me something that surprised me. Do you think Trevor might have been jealous of your relationship with Daisy? I hadn't thought about that before, but it made sense. Trevor never had the kind of connection with me that I had with Daisy. Maybe he wanted to destroy it. Maybe he couldn't stand seeing me happy with someone else when I had always been so desperate for his attention. After our talk, they took me back to my room. That night, I actually slept a little. Something about telling my whole story made me feel less alone with it. Like maybe someone might actually believe me. I dreamed of Daisy and me building a blanket fort safe inside our own little world. The next morning, I got a surprise visitor. It was Officer Charlotte, one of the police officers who had been at our house that day, the one who hadn't hugged Trevor. She came with Mr. Barbara. They sat me down and told me they had some questions about the text messages Trevor showed them. Officer Charlotte showed me printouts of the messages. They were from my phone number to Trevor's. In them, I talked about hating Daisy and wanting to hurt her, about how she was ruining our family, about how she didn't belong with us because of her skin color. The words were ugly and hateful, making my stomach turn just reading them. I never wrote these, I said again. I don't even have Trevor's number in my phone. Officer Charlotte raised her eyebrows at that. You don't have your brother's phone number? I shook my head. He never gave it to me, said he didn't want me bothering him. That seemed to interest both of them. They asked me more questions about my phone, when I got it, if Trevor ever used it, if I ever left it unlocked around the house. I told them Mom had given me the phone for my birthday 2 months ago. And yes, I often left it charging in the living room. Anyone could have picked it up. I didn't have a password on it because Mom said I shouldn't have secrets from her. Officer Charlotte and Ms. Barbara exchanged a look. Then Officer Charlotte asked if I would be willing to let them check my phone. I said yes immediately. Anything that might help prove I was telling the truth. Later that day, Mom brought my phone to the facility. Officer Charlotte took it and said their tech person would examine it. I didn't know what that meant, but I hoped it would help. Maybe there was some way they could tell I hadn't sent those messages. 2 more days passed. I started talking to some of the other kids. Most of them had their own sad stories. Kendall, the boy who tried to talk to me before, told me he was there because he got caught stealing food for his little sisters. His mom was sick and couldn't work. I felt bad for judging him before. We sat together at meals now, and sometimes he could even make me laugh with his stories about the stray cats he fed in his neighborhood. On the 5th day, Ms. Barbara came to get me for another meeting. This time, a woman named Virginia was there too. She had curly red hair and wore a bright yellow blouse that seemed way too cheerful for this place. The fluorescent lights made her hair look almost orange against the drab gray walls of the conference room. Ms. Barbara introduced her as my court-appointed guardian ad litem, which she explained meant she was assigned to represent my best interests in court. I just nodded, not really understanding what was happening anymore. My fingers nervously traced the edge of the wooden table as I waited for them to explain why I was there. Virginia had a folder full of papers and a serious expression. Her eyes were kind though, not judging like some of the other adults I'd encountered since this nightmare began. She told me they had found something interesting on my phone. Apparently the tech person discovered that the messages to Trevor weren't actually sent from my phone app. They were sent through some website that lets you fake text messages, then screenshot them to make them look real. She spread out several printouts showing the technical details, but they might as well have been written in another language. But how does that help me? I asked, picking at a loose thread on my sleeve. The blue fabric was starting to fray, just like my nerves. Couldn't I have just used that website myself? Virginia smiled for the first time. Her whole face brightened, and I caught a glimpse of a small dimple in her left cheek. That's the interesting part. The website keeps logs of the IP addresses that access it. The messages were created from a computer at your house during hours when you were at school. We have your attendance records to confirm you were in class when these messages were created. My heart started beating faster, like a bird trying to escape from my chest. So Trevor made them up. I told you. The hope in my voice was almost painful, even to my own ears. Ms. Barbara held up her hand. Her silver bracelet jingled softly with the movement. We're still investigating, but this is certainly helpful information. It corroborates parts of your story. They asked me more questions about Trevor, about things he'd said to me over the years, about whether he ever used racial slurs around me before the incident with Daisy. I told them everything I could remember, how he would sometimes mutter things under his breath when we saw black people at the mall, how he had a password on his computer that he never let anyone see, how he had friends that Mom didn't like because she said they had bad attitudes. I remembered one friend in particular, a boy named Ethan who had Confederate flag stickers on his truck and always seemed to be angry about something. I also told them about the times Trevor had been nice to me, the ice cream he bought me after I made Daisy cry the first time, the way he'd ruffle my hair and call me his good little soldier, the presents he'd give me for no reason, a new video game, a pair of expensive headphones, always after I'd done something mean to Daisy. I hadn't seen the pattern until now, but laying it all out for Virginia and Ms. Barbara made it painfully clear. After they left, I felt a tiny spark of hope for the first time since this whole nightmare started. Maybe someone would finally see through Trevor's act. Maybe I wouldn't be the only one punished.
Join my subscription for part 4.